Hey, how you doing out there, Guitar Heroes? Okay, we've got some tips on how to speed up your strumming today. And each one of these are going to help you get a little bit faster in your picking, so you'll be able to at least do this speed that I'm demonstrating today, or even faster than that. Okay, so what is a starting point here for us? Well, first of all, we're going to be doing more wrist action, more this kind of action than this action. Okay, that's the first thing. The wrist has got a lot of flexibility into it, so you can be able to, as opposed to, so we want to use our wrist instead of our arm. The arm's going to move a little bit, but we want to primarily be using our wrist. Now, the other thing we want to do is make sure we hold your hand really close to the strings. You don't want it out here with wild swings. You want that thing right down here. You almost got it resting on the strings. Very, very close. Right. Just barely above the strings. And of course, if you're on the strings, then you're going to get a muted sound. And that comes in handy too, but generally going to be really close. So wrist action, stay close to the strings. The third thing is use a soft pick. In this case, when you're strumming fast, a lot of times, you might be really gripping down hard on the pick and then have a hard plastic pick, and it's easy to get stuck in these strings with a hard plastic pick. I wouldn't use that for strumming at all. My recommendation for strumming generally is to use a softer pick. I've been using these Jim Dunlop picks. They're nylon, they never break. Every plastic pick that I've had over the years has eventually broken, but these don't break because of the nylon, and they also have a grip on them, so you don't have to worry about holding it so tight and hard. And if you're a little bit loose in your grip, you'll be able to move a lot faster in a little bit better rhythm if you're relaxed a little bit with your grip on the pick. And remember, you really only need just the end of the pick is what hits the strings, right? So make sure you got a good grip on that pick, and if it starts to feel like it's going to fall out of your hands, then just move your fingers a little bit closer to the end of the tip of the pick. Okay, the last thing is, well, let's see, probably not the last thing, is we want to make sure that when we're moving back and forth here, that we don't get much beyond the strings on the top and the bottom. So in other words, we're not doing this. We're just staying right in here, right? So I just barely get to the top. I just get to the top of the big string and to the bottom string. I don't need to go any further, waste any energy going one side to the other too far. Now, the other thing is there's really not a need to hit all of the strings when you're strumming, okay? If you hit generally the middle strings, then generally you're going to be okay. You might want to emphasize the high strings or the low strings sometimes, but you don't have to worry about hitting all the strings when you're doing faster picking. Just in the middle strings and you'll be fine. So keep that in mind. You don't have to worry about making sure that you hit every single string. So it's probably does help to have a metronome to kind of get kind of help with your speed, and you can find a free metronome on your phone, and I just typed in there, I just typed metronome and one came up right away. You can set the speed for whatever you'd like. You can start slower and move up your speed to what you're looking for. That kind of keeps you on the beat. So let's try a few of these techniques out, and so you can see how they're going to work. So hand close, soft pick in the hand, and if you keep the strings muted, that kind of helps at first to kind of get a feel for it. So let's start really slow. Just the wrist action, my arm is hardly moving. got a loose, medium grip on the pick. And then you can gradually increase your speed. And notice how my hand is not going beyond the strings. And in this exercise, I'm using the super simple chords, so you don't have to worry about trying to form more complicated chords. Let's just use E minor, and then let's use the A suspended 4, which is just the exact same fingering as the E minor. I just move it down one string, and in this case, then I mute this big E string, and then I did a 2-finger G. I'm muting this second, so it's not that important that I really have my second finger on the second fret of the A string. So that way you don't have to concentrate so much there when you're working on the speed. Have some, simpler chords that feel better, or you can just kind of hang on one chord if you want to. So let's try another little practice exercise. And of course, we're just going straight up and down, and as you develop your speed, you can start putting a little pattern in there. And emphasize downbeat. Try to emulate that sound and that speed. If you want to go a little faster, a little slower, work up to that. That's a pretty medium fast pace, and that usually will get you by on most applications. Okay, well, I hope you got something out of this lesson. If you stick with these tips, I think you'll really be able to improve your speed in a very short period of time. But you got to stick with it and make sure that, at the beginning, you're just focusing on this part, the scratching thing. So you can hear that you're nice and smooth in your rhythm. And then just try the easy chords. Just stick on A minor or E minor for a while if you want to. Use whatever chords you want, but don't take away your focus from strumming by having to form chords and worry about that speed. Leave that as a separate issue just to get that strumming down. Okay, well, I hope you got something out of this lesson. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time.